moment. Tickal still in top 8 contention.
Yes.
So. Joyce's first turn will bring a flooded strand, so we'll head back over to Tickal. Tickal gonna play a turn 2 Jace. Swamping a Prairie Stream. Joyce gonna search up a land here. And it'll be a Prairie Stream of his own. Just got dragons. That'll bring with it some Dragon Lords, some Thunderbreak regions, Mantis Riders as well. Just trying to get in the air.
So I think that Joyce has got a good mixture of cards for the matchup here. He has flyers, counter spells, and access to Radiant Flames in his sideboard. That feels like a good collection of cards here. It's no Hollowed Moonlight type action. There's no specific hate here, but flyers, sweepers for cheap stuff, and some counter spells to fend off Rally. It feels like a good collection of cards to me.
That'll be a morph here from Tickal. It's not activated Jace just yet. You mentioned Radiant Flames. Joyce does have one in his hand. He might be casting this turn as he sacrifices the Polluted Delta. It'll be a basic island that he finds.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the last call to sign up for today's two-headed giant.
And there is Radiant Flames. Curious to see what the morph's going to be. Wouldn't be surprised if it's Deathless Raptor.
Yeah, Tickal has a couple Deathless Raptors in the sideboard. He also has Grim Horror Specs and Den Protector in the deck. So,
and Tuco husks the draw. Tickal going to have to decide what he wants to discard here.
it looks like he's narrowed it down to 2 cards.
Yeah, Sidisi's Faithful, and then Tuco Husk. All right, Husk down. Morph. Den Protector. Okay, good hit.
Bit of a prize there for Joyce.
Yeah.
Killed the thing with the most powerful trigger and the thing that just dies when it dies.
Looks like Tickal might be considering Eclectic Company on the main phase here. Yep, he's going to go with that. Search up a land here with the Windswept Heath.
Probably Canopy Vista, get his double white on. Comes into play untapped. Okay.
Going to go with Basic Plains, about the same.
Yeah.
Let's see what those top 6 cards here are for Tickal. Uh-oh. Okay, never mind. I saw Merciless Executioner and not much else, but there's a Zilpor Cutthroat and I believe a Horror Specs. So just fine.
Not a bad collection of cards.
Yeah. There's also an argument for actually getting Merciless Executioner here, sacrificing it to itself so that you can Den Protector it back and you get to draw a card.
Yeah. I think at this point, you know, Tickal really isn't concerned about what creatures are on the battlefield necessarily. He's just trying to assemble a critical mass of stuff to do. So it doesn't look pretty, but it's a 3-2 and a card.
We're going to go over to Joyce. He's going to sacrifice the Bloodstained Mire very quickly. I think Basic Mountain might be on the way. And perhaps a Thunderbreak Regent. Remember, X and 3 are going to be good to go for top 8 this weekend. So for Tickal, top 8 dreams are still alive.
And this piece of the puzzle is really important as far as I'm concerned. You can't hang back all day long against Rally. We've seen when decks have tried to take too much of a controlling position that it just doesn't work. The deck draws too many cards and has too many powerful late game trumps. Get a little something going on the board, though, and you can take advantage of the fact that it spends a lot of turns of the game just not really doing very much. Sidisi's
Faithful here is going to bounce the Thunderbreak Regent. Going to sacrifice itself to exploit. Tickal going to come across here. Thunderbreak Regent, of course, will trigger from the Faithful, but that just means that Joyce is going to have to recast it. Sidisi's Faithful disturbingly good in this deck.
Yeah, it is often repulse for one with several bonuses.
Yeah, with a lot of other stuff going on.
And also, against the aggressive decks of the format, this thing is just fine to cast on the first turn.
Yeah. There's a lot to like about this card. See what Joyce wants to search up here. You see he's brought in Infinite Obliteration among other options. Gonna get a Smoldering Marsh.
I'm starting to question Infinite Obliteration against these decks. They feel redundant enough that there's no real one piece you can strip out and then have them not function. As opposed to the Eldrazi decks, where you take Ulamog, they just don't have a deck left after that.
Yeah, they're relying on Ugin, and that's about it.
That's not so much the case over here, and I think if you're going to bring in a card like Infinite Obliteration, doesn't impact the board, you're basically just down a card, you got to be sure that your opponent can't really play if it resolves. And I think for cards like decks like 4-Color Rally, Todd Anderson's build of Jeskai Black, where we've seen Infinite Obliteration come in, I think those decks are robust enough, even if they get hit by that card once or twice, that it's not worth bringing in.
Well, Tickal was hoping to draw a land this turn. If he drew a land that entered the battlefield untapped, and most of them do at this point, he could unmorph the Den Protector, get back the Merciless Executioner, and take care of the Dragon Ojutai as it stands. That did not happen. So here's the Lepore Cutthroat. Does have a Dispel in hand. But right now, the problem here for Matthew is he's just bottlenecked on mana.
Yep. And Joyce may untap here, hit with Dragon Lord Ojutai, and be able to play Thunderbreak Regent and Soulfire Grandmaster in the same turn, which makes the Merciless Executioner a lot worse, and is just a lot of pressure in a general sense.
Yep. But is he willing to attack, I suppose, is the question.
Yes. Tickle's got Edicts in his deck. You can't just sit back here. Joyce also needs land number 6 because that opens up lines of play like Soulfire Grandmaster, Thunderbreak Regent, or 2 Crackling Dooms in the same turn. So he's on the hunt for mana regardless.
Looks like he's going to take Infinite Obliteration here off of the Dragon Lord Ojutai. If he's casting this, I'm curious what he's going to name.
Probably Nantuko Husk. Without Nantuko Husk in the deck, a lot of these lines of play get cut off, like the most powerful lines.
Oh, we're going to find out in just a moment because it looks like this is resolving. Yeah, and he's going to go with Husk.
That would be my step 1
Okay.
with this deck. Because once Nantuko Husk is out of the deck, you're much less likely to be killed by a Rally the Ancestors that resolves on that turn.
Well, the Husk are going to bite the dust here. Joyce just wants to make sure he does get them all. You don't want to make that mistake, trust me.
Yep.
And now we're going to go back Tickle's way. He's going to unmorph Den Protector, get back Merciless Executioner.
And I think this was a mistake here by Joyce. He left up Disdainful Stroke this turn. I think he really needed to just put Soulfire Grandmaster on the table and give himself some protection from the Edict effect that he knew was coming.
And there is the Merciless Executioner. It's going to take care of the Dragon Lord Ojutai. We'll see what Tickle wants to sacrifice to this Merciless Executioner. Is it better served in the graveyard? Does he want something else in the graveyard? He will get the opportunity to draw a card from the Grim Horror specs. Maybe that'll help him find some lands. There's also a trigger there from the Zulapore Cutthroat. Collected Company the draw there for Tickle, and here come the beatdowns. All of a sudden, Joyce is facing lethal next turn, it looks like.
Yeah, this has been, to me, the most surprising thing about watching Tickle play on camera is in the post-board games, He's won pretty consistently, never even touching Rally the Ancestors. It's a backup plan. It's the, in case of emergency, break glass option, but he hasn't had to go to it.
That's the reason I actually kind of like this deck, and why I think maybe we'll see players eventually maybe cut down the number of rallies he plays, because every time we've watched Tickal play, and we watched Eric Hawkins but earlier this weekend too, didn't need to cast Rally.
Yeah. And I also think these decks are getting themselves into trouble here by siding in or keeping in too much removal. It's really important to present a clock, and a couple choice removal spells, especially the cheap ones, the Fiery Impulses and Wild Slashes, those can be good, but the 3 mana cards like Crackling Doom are really slow and rarely tag a critical piece of the puzzle.
There's Soulfire Grandmaster, here's Thunderbreak Regent. Now we'll see if Tickal can clear these out of the way. And I think all it does for him to do that is just drawing a land, yeah, because he can rally for 3, get back Merciless Executioner and Sidisi's Faithful,
Yep.
take care of both the creatures, attack for lethal. That's exactly what he's going to do. Matthew Tickal going to win this match here over Sean Joyce. 2 games to 1. 4-color Rally will take care of Jeskai Dragons, and for number 14 on our Season 4 leaderboard, it's going to be tough for him to qualify for the Players' Championship, but this could be another top hit on the resume.
Yes, and like you said, with his performance in the back half of Season 3, Season 4, did not post the performances in the Open Series events he needed to qualify for the Players' Championship, but still could have a healthy cast finish here.
So congratulations to Matthew Tickal, and congratulations to Logan Mize on being 12-0 and locked it up for top 8. So he's our first person